Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, Amanda. I know she said 60 minutes, but we might be able to get you out of here a little bit early. Keep those questions coming. This is for your information. I'm Garrett Schwartz. Nice to meet everyone. I've been at Adobe for almost a decade now, started in higher education sales and then moved over into product marketing, where I was a senior PMM doing messaging and training sales reps for about 6.5, 7 years, and then moved back into sales. But that entire remit, I've been on the Document Cloud side of the house or Acrobat side of the house. So would like to think of myself as a little bit of an expert. So there's no stupid questions. Ask whatever you want, and we can address them along the way or at the end. But I'm joined today by my colleague Kyrie Watson. Kyrie, you want to say hi to everyone?
Sure thing. Thanks, Garrett. Hey, everyone. Kyrie Watson here, solutions consultant. Been with Adobe for going on 5 years, so about half amount as you, Garrett, but been on the digital media side for a while, learning all things about Acrobat, Creative Cloud too. So excited to hear some of y'all's questions and hopefully give y'all some answers.
Love it. Thank you, sir. All right, for today's agenda, we're going to start with digital documents across the campus, why it's important. And then I'm going to take us through the Adobe Acrobat and Microsoft partnership, kind of how we think about bringing this technology into the tools that everyone's using every single day. And then I want to show a new shiny button that we pumped out last year, Acrobat AI Assistant, the AI that we have inside of Acrobat. Then we're going to hand things over to Kyrie. He's going to do a little demo for us. We like to call it the art of the possible. So you can visualize how some of these tools can be used in your at your universities, in the classroom, et cetera, et cetera. And then we'll end with some Q&A. Okay, so organizations run on digital documents, and our product leader over in India, he said this one time, and I'll never forget it. He said PDFs are pervasive, which means you will be running into them at some point in time. PDFs and some of these stats over here on the right-hand side, some of the most critical documents in your organization live on PDF paper. PDF is the #1 file format inside SharePoint. 40% of all documents received in Outlook are PDFs, and about 3 trillion PDFs are in email, cloud, and web. And I think around 3 trillion PDFs are opened in just Acrobat applications alone every year. But I love this representation of this wheel, whether you're in HR, finance, IT procurement, faculties, student administration, legal and compliance. There is a use for everyone to be interacting with PDFs. And we like to give people the best tool to interact with those PDFs, which of course is Acrobat. And yes, I'm a little biased, but I'll tell you why here in a second. One other thing that I wanted to cover for everyone are, if you don't have the right document platform in place, it presents a lot of challenges. But if you do have the right platform in place, it presents a lot of opportunities to streamline stuff, save money while doing it as well. And one thing that I'll touch on during this presentation, data breaches and intellectual property loss, very, very expensive. There's that age-old saying, you can have 1,000 problems until you have a health problem. Inside businesses, organizations, universities, you can have 1,000 problems until you have a security risk problem. And I think Forrester released a report last year that said the average cost of a data breach was around 4.5 million if it were domestic, and international, that number jumps up to around 9 million. And we've all heard those horror cases of some organizations leaking customers' personal identifiable information, and then they're paying for free LifeLock for them for about 4 or 5 years post-mortem. Of course, workflow and collaboration efficiencies. I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but we all know what happened during COVID. If you weren't prepared with your digital document processes, it was an absolute nightmare. This is just table stakes nowadays. You save money, you save time, you save effort, and you also gain a lot of productivity for this. We've commissioned Forrester and Gartner on a lot of different products, and the results are crazy. Some of them for like Acrobat Sign, 402% ROI, and the net POV score is well over 100. So if you don't know what a net POV score is, I don't think that's the right acronym actually, but if it's over 100, the investment should be made. So just wanted to level set with everyone on some of the challenges that we're going to be running into. So you might have heard me say Document Cloud in the beginning of the presentation, and you're probably thinking, what the heck is Document Cloud? And don't balk at the word cloud. So when we first launched this name, Adobe Document Cloud, a couple of years back, when we were talking to enterprises and a bunch of customers and stuff like that, they took a step back and they're like, whoa, whoa, we're already paying for OneDrive, we're already paying for SharePoint, Box or Dropbox, whatever it may be. I just want to make it very clear for everyone that we are not cloud storage, we are workflow and collaboration storage. And when I say Document Cloud, it's that box there on the left-hand side. All Document Cloud is a combination of those applications that you see right here. Adobe Acrobat Sign, Adobe Scan, Adobe Acrobat Pro, and then our Acrobat Services, which is our suite of APIs that can help with document remediation, accessibility, auto tagging, that kind of things. And I can, if there's questions about that, I can certainly dive into that at the end of the presentation today. But just remember, we are workflow and collaboration storage. We are not enterprise cloud storage. And before we get into Microsoft, I'm trying to make this a little bit engaging, and I wanted to throw a poll out there for everyone. Do you understand how Adobe Acrobat makes Microsoft applications more productive? No, I want to learn more. Oh, we got some good responses. Okay. All right, maybe you haven't seen. I was thinking the opposite actually, but maybe a lot of the folks on the call haven't seen some of the integrations that we have with Microsoft. Okay, and if you do, sit back and relax because I'm gonna share again. Okay, let's keep moving on. So this partnership that we have with Microsoft, Satya Nadella, and who's Microsoft's CEO, and Shantanu Narayan, our CEO, excuse me, actually went to the same high school together in India. So they have history together. But I want to say this partnership kicked off about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago at this point. But when we say here at Adobe, we bring the tools to where the work gets done, I fully understand, unless you are a power user of Acrobat, you're not really opening up the desktop version of Acrobat every single day. You are living inside Microsoft Teams, you are living inside Outlook. A lot of those applications have a need for something like creating a PDF or doing some redlining for a contract negotiation, whatever it may be. And that's what I mean by bringing the tools to where the work gets done. We have integrations with almost the entire suite of Microsoft applications. And this is a good screen. This is a good slide to screenshot if you're trying to build a business case internally. But this is also one of my favorite slides that we have here at Adobe. So integrations, and what it looks like is just little buttons in the top right corner. You'll see a logo for Document Cloud or Sign. So if you're inside SharePoint, if you're inside Teams or PowerPoint or Outlook, you can send a document for signature. You're not going to be breaking up that workflow by entering a new application. But also very, very good slide to screenshot here. And again, across the entire stack, across M365, we have Azure AD, Microsoft 365 Admin, OneDrive, SharePoint, Power Apps, Power Automate. One thing that I want to let everyone know, if you're not familiar with Power Automate, it's the low-code, no-code platform where you can build out your own customizable workflows. And it's drag and drop capabilities. So you can say, start with a document in SharePoint in this folder, and then route it for signature for Acrobat Sign, and then create a, and then pump it back into SharePoint. When you purchase Acrobat Sign, the partnership that we have with Microsoft is you get all of the premium connectors, a la carte, all you can eat buffet when using Acrobat Sign, when you purchase Acrobat Sign, because we want our customers to build out whatever workflow works best for them. Customize it however you want. If you want to integrate it with Workday or an ERP solution like SAP, whatever it may be, that comes at no additional charge. We actually pay for you to use that service so that you can get the most out of your applications. Okay. Next, let's get into the new shiny button, which is Acrobat AI Assistant. And I don't know if you could see my cursor. I am sharing my screen, but it's this little button up top here. It is in mobile applications. It's on the web version of Acrobat. It's in the desktop version of Acrobat. And I'm sure a lot of people have been evaluating or have at least heard or seen of Copilot or Chat GPT. We are not the same as Chat GPT. We actually complement that really, really well. And there's a reason why, like the federal government, big pharma companies, law firms really like this solution. And I'll take you through this here right now. So other Gen AI solutions, think of like the Chat GPTs, think of the Copilots. There we go. Think of the Copilots, the Chat GPTs. We work in tandem next to these. So I'll take you through how I typically use these solutions, because even as a marketer, there's just some things that I don't know a whole lot about. I use the Chat GPTs and the Copilots as a way to say, talk to me like I'm a complete idiot on this subject, or talk to me like a second grader, and I want to get a good base and a good understanding of what I'm going to be researching next. When I find the credible like manuscripts, the published files, the deep knowledge, deep detail files that I want to look at, that's when I pop it into AI Assistant for Acrobat AI Assistant, forgive me, because Acrobat AI Assistant only looks at the documents that you provide it to. It's super buttoned up. We don't train any LLMs using your data. We actually lease the technology from Microsoft. We send the documents over in chunks with the questions and the response, and all that data is in transit data for 12 hours. It's cached, and then poof, it's gone. So again, that's the reason why federal government really loves it. Biopharma, anything with personal identifiable information that you don't want to be crawling the web or feeding LLMs, that kind of information, that's where we really stand out. And long and complex documents, we have a multi-doc feature where you can add up to 10 documents that are 600 pages long. So like legal depositions, sometimes they're thousands of pages long. But if you ask it a certain question, it will give you a little blue box next to the answer. And when you click on that blue box, that's the attribution. It will take you to exactly where it pulled that information from inside of the document itself. So, and we're talking about universities here. And I was on a webinar a couple weeks back, and they had an interesting thought process that they were going to, or that they were covering. And it was, how do we promote authentic learning in the classroom? Like, how do we get away from this ability to just assess a student's ability to just interact with a chat bot? And some of the members on my team are probably tired of me telling this joke, but I saw this joke on social media, and it was like the doctor that is going to be performing your surgery in the next 20 years is passing med school using ChatGPT or Copilot. And it's like, how do we get away from that? And if you think about AI Assistant as a study buddy, that's when you get that authentic learning. They're able to see, where was this information pulled from? Did I get the right documents to get the right information that I needed to complete that task? So also really good side to screenshot. Excuse me. Already covered this, but this is our bread and butter. Customer data is not used to train large language models ever with any of our solutions. We are extremely open and apparent with how we practice this. Again, only looks at the documents that you tell it to. The customer has complete control and discretion to enable and disabling chat history and documents in the cloud. Very customizable to whatever you are comfortable doing. And then, not to toot my own horn, but I built some of these slides out just to give you, and these are great slides to screenshot too. Again, if you're trying to build that business case internally, Acrobat AI Assistant use cases for students, enhanced reading and summarization, automated notes and annotations. If you have foreign exchange students coming in, it's very, very good at language translation as well. And again, documents up to 600 pages. Also have some slides here for faculty and researchers, efficient grading and feedback, quick research synthesis, manuscript and grant proposal review, generating teaching materials. One thing that I used to do in my role in my past life as a product marketing manager was create assessment quizzes for some of the sales reps to test their knowledge on the subject. The most time consuming portion of this, and this was something that like no one had ever said out loud. And then when one of our marketers brought this up to me, I was like, oh my gosh, I have blown so much time trying to do this. But it was creating the wrong answers for multiple choice questions, ones that would trick them or really test their knowledge for it. AI Assistant is really good at that, again, because it's not pulling from outside information on the web. It's only looking at the documents that you give it, like class syllabi or whatever it may be you're using. So just another use case to think about that saved me a whole lot of time. And then another slide here for administration and operations, contract and policy review, automating document processes, meeting and event summaries, library and archives management as well. Just wanted to throw some use cases out there because AI is here. It's moving really, really fast. We have this girl that works for us. Her name is Emily McReynolds. Did a lot of work for her, and she's our global head of AI ethics and strategy here at Adobe. She's an absolute workhorse of a woman. She started at Microsoft 10 years ago, built out their whole strategy for them, then moved over to Meta, did the same thing for them, and then now she's on our side of the house working for us. But she has an interesting thought process, and all the research that she's done over the last 10 years, organizations, universities, enterprises, even small, medium businesses, they all have this same kind of thought process. And they're not looking for a tool that does, or an AI tool that does a lot of things and does them mediocre. What a lot of people are doing is they're looking for these niche tools that have really good security, and they do one thing and they do it really, really well. And when you translate that over to Emily McReynolds, she's an absolute saint. I was trying to get on our team forever, but she didn't get head count. Anyways, not sore about that at all. But they're looking for these tools that do one thing and they do it really, really well. She's written a lot of good articles too, if you want to look her up. But if you translate that over to the Adobe side of the house, what does Adobe do really, really well? For 32 years, we've done documents really, really well, Acrobat. And it's even crazy to say that a piece of software has survived for 32 years, but it's for a good reason. And before I turn things over to Kyrie, I kind of wanted to leave everyone with this final thought here. I did a bunch of interviews with Adobe's Chief Information Security Officer just to figure out like what is important to you, like what do you really care about. And then he put me in contact with our application security teams. He put me in contact with our enterprise security teams, and across the board they care about risk mitigation. How do they stay ahead of the curve? How do they prepare for something that's not even happening yet? And our chief information security officer, he said one thing, and I asked him at the end of the interview, I said, if you didn't work for Adobe, would you be using Acrobat? And he said, absolutely yes. I would standardize on Acrobat. And when he said standardize on Acrobat, I was like, what do you mean by that? And he said, it is when you have software in-house that you know everyone is on, it is very predictable and scalable. And he said, all it takes is one person to do, and they don't even have to be a bad actor. They could just be looking for a tool to get their job done, and they don't know exactly where to turn. He said, all it takes is one person to download the wrong piece of software and everything breaks down. He goes, that's why it's so important to know what's in your environment and to standardize on one solution, because again, it is predictable, right? So great slide to screenshot too. AI assistant for all users, work on mobile, web, desktop, Microsoft Teams, enterprise security, reduce risk. We take security very seriously at Adobe. That's our bread and butter. I hope I didn't bore everyone too much because we have the demo coming up here in a second. So without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Kyrie.
Thanks, Garrett. I was gonna you said you might have bored people. I was gonna say you're a hard act to follow, honestly. You get a lot of good information, a lot of good information for everyone on the call. But yeah, so I'll go into the demo, Kyrie Watson here. I'll be taking you all through a few features within Acrobat, specifically AI Assistant, the Microsoft integrations, collaboration, accessibility, through a couple personas. So let me start sharing my screen really quick.
While you're doing that, Kyrie, I am laughing so hard at Life Alert. Help, my data is breached and I can't get up. That was so good. Oh my Lord. Oh.
All righty. Perfect. So one of the personas I'm actually is right now is a professor at a university. I'm working with my teacher's assistant to create a study guide for my students who are preparing for their math final exam next week. You see, I have nothing right now, but the cool thing is my TA actually shared a previous worksheet that we worked on last year via Microsoft Teams. And Garrett kind of touched it on the head where you have those capabilities all within a lot of Microsoft products to access Acrobat specifically there. He gave me this document to me to look through, give me some ideas. Not only can I do this within Teams, but I can also, give some comments there. I can mark up some of this document as well. You have a lot of different capabilities just by using Acrobat within Teams. But for this case, again, like I said, I need to work on this worksheet for the students, give the study guide to them because obviously I want them to do well. So Garrett mentioned that purple button. I'm going to use that Acrobat AI Assistant. And the capability here is really to have a conversation with the document, get some great insights. I can understand and generate all types of new information. But I think Garrett mentioned something really powerful was within Document Cloud, the real pillar is workflow and collaboration storage. To be able to have that capability all within the environment that you're in every day for the most part, having it convenient, where you can actually use some of these tools without having to go back and forth between many of apps. So one of the questions I'm actually going to ask of AI Assistant is to kind of use this document. Let me expand this out a little bit. I already had a prompt pre-prepared. Use this document because it's 49 pages. I don't necessarily have time to go through each of the questions of this 49-page document to get answers, but use this document to create a 10-question study guide in the form of a table for a college level exam. In the table, have 3 columns, one for questions, an empty column for work shown, and another one for the answer for the students to put that answer there. So I'm just going to ask that. And what AI Assistant is doing is looking through the entire document, going to give me a few questions I can easily use and copy and paste onto the Word doc that I mentioned before. You see how easy it's already coming through. Let me expand this out so y'all can see it. And it has those columns there. It has the questions already there, the work shown, as well as the answers. So let me scroll down. Make sure I can copy this. Oh, and then there are those attributions too that Garrett mentioned before, where it pinpoints exactly where within the document it's gotten the questions from. So I'm gonna copy this, go back into the Word document. Perfect. Let me actually put this in the form of a table. And of course I can expand this out, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there a lot quicker than me having to go through each of those 49 pages, trying to see which question works best. All I was able to do is use AI Assistant to ask those questions. But there is a multiple choice section I do need to complete. So I have to ask AI Assistant about that as well. So let me give that question as well. Give me a prompt. Give me a multiple choice questions that can be asked for this document to prepare college students for an exam. Again, just going to ask AI Assistant for 10 different questions I can use to easily add that. But just to highlight again, attributions, so you can know that the information is pulling directly from the document. It's not going onto the interwebs. It's not pulling from different environments. It's actually pulling directly from the document. And now I'm getting those multiple choice questions pretty quick and easy. Perfect. And now I'm going to be able to copy and paste that. You see it's already adding those attributions there. So I can know that it's actually coming from the document. I don't have to worry too much about that. Just waiting for it to let me to copy. Perfect. All righty. Now I have all those questions there. I can format it however I see best fit, but I think this is pretty good. I'm actually going to save this. And Gary mentioned a little bit earlier, Acrobat is in many places. You may see it right here. Acrobat automatically within Word document. Obviously, Creative Cloud is there too, but want to make sure that organizations can use Document Cloud wherever they see best fit. So I could convert this document into a PDF using this icon, but for the sake of time, I'm going to quickly go here into the Acrobat, the desktop application, and easily convert it here to create this document. I know exactly where it's at. I already have the folder prepared. It's saving, so it just takes a little second. Go back. Perfect there. So already ready. You see it has those forms. All righty. And you see that the document's already there. So I do have some users who may use a screen reader or may use assistive technology to kind of review this document. And I want to make sure that all my students are successful when it comes to working on this study guide. So you see I have a number of tools here within the Acrobat desktop. One of those tools, prepare for accessibility. Huge point, huge value point for organizations, especially with those users who may need assistive technology to work with documents to review them. So I can automatically tag this PDF. If I do feel comfortable, I can check for it for accessibility. But what I need to do, I'm actually going to automatically tag it just for the sake of time. So you can see it added those paragraph points, add the table, identified the different headers and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure and confident that this document is now available and able for students who may need some technology to review this document, work on this, can be successful going forward within this class. All righty. So the next persona I'm actually going to use is actually an IT admin. So I'm preparing for our annual admin summit with several universities that we collaborate on every now and then. And we use this summit to learn the new processes, different technology, and also learn from one another. Unfortunately, sometimes tend to be a little busy. So I missed the meeting, missed the last meeting, the planned meeting, but thankfully, all the documents were actually uploaded to our SharePoint environment. And I don't necessarily have time to go through each and every single one of these documents. So I can streamline this process using Acrobat within Microsoft to kind of combine these documents and get more information clearly. So you see there's several documents. There's an Excel doc, a PowerPoint, a Word doc, and I can go one by one and create this to a PDF if I want to do that. But again, I want to combine these documents. So all I have to do is select all three of them, select the ellipses there, combine the Adobe file. And you see it's quickly doing that. And again, I didn't have to open up a whole new screen, didn't have to go to another computer. It automatically popped up a new tab for me to be able to use this integration easily. And just going to quickly do that. And you see now that these documents are now pulling up for me to convert this to a combined file. I'm gonna change the name, Admin Summit 2025. And the cool thing is not only can I, customize this, but also I can move things around. So I'm able to expand this out, expand the different slide parts of this presentation. Let's say there's aspects I don't necessarily need this document involved. I can remove that. There's just transcripts from the meeting, which is great. Perfect. So I can combine this document. It's just going to take a few moments for it to combine these files. And now you see, now all the documents are all there, 16 pages, has all the information there, as well as the transcript of the meeting that I wasn't able to attend. And as you see, that purple button is still there. So I'm actually going to use that to get a little bit more information out of this document, just so I can prepare for it. And again, I'm leading this admin summit. So I want to make sure I have the correct collateral to share with other individuals who will be attending. So one of the questions I do want to have, because I missed the meeting, who will contact Lisa? I know someone needs to contact Lisa to get more information. Again, I'm just going to ask that question of AI Assistant, because they're actually going to be able to look through this whole document and understand that Scott, my colleague Scott, will actually contact Lisa. And it mentions that who exactly will do that and where exactly he said within the transcript that he'll do that. Another question I actually have, I know I need to create some collateral to share, so I wanted to create a one-page itinerary that can be shared with the different admins to inform them what to expect for the summit and what to bring. So not only can you get answers from Acrobat AI Assistant, but you can also create more content. So you see, it's going through the whole itinerary, giving me more information. All I have to do is insert the date. It's pinpointing exactly, giving those attributions of what necessary, where exactly within the document it points to that information. And the cool thing is it has feelings. It actually is like a very intuitive product, we're looking forward to seeing you in New York. Let's make this an inspiring and productive event. So you can have that flair. And obviously you can put more information there too if you need to, but I feel like I'm more than half the way there. And like I said before, AI assistant is pulling directly from the document. If it's not within the document, it probably won't give me the answer or let me know that that information is not within the document. So one of the questions I actually have is, hey, when will the admins meet Robert De Niro during the summit? If so, what time and where? Because me personally, I would like to meet him. So I want to know if they're going to meet him there. Oh, it told me exactly. This transcript does not mention Robert De Niro at all within this document. Please, based on this information, there's no indication that he'll be a part of the event. So, kind of a bummer for me, but at least I know that now. So, with that being said, I showcased a lot of information, showcased Acrobat AI Assistant, showcased a couple of the integrations within SharePoint and Microsoft Teams. And I did actually want to quickly go back to SharePoint because you see, when I converted that document and combined it to a single document, it put it right back into the SharePoint environment that I'm familiar with, kind of like a central place, so you don't have to look all over the place for the document that you're working with. Having it right there to help with that productivity as well as collaboration of other people who need access to this asset. So, with that being said, I'll pass it back to Garrett. Showcased a lot, but hopefully you found value in that.
Awesome. Thank you, Kyrie. Appreciate it. We do have a bunch of questions coming in. There was one from Gary that I wanted to address. And Amanda, if you want to throw that last poll up for everyone too, while we're looking at some of these questions. Come on, folks! I got my half-year review coming up with my manager. I need some good reviews here. Gary, if the Adobe AI isn't trained from user input, how is it trained? Using what material? Okay, so the way that it works is we lease that technology, the LLM, from Microsoft. I think it's GPT 4.0 right now. But the way that our contract is set up is it never touches their, it's never stored on their servers. They don't use any of that data to train any other LLMs. How it works is when Kyrie was asking the question to AI Assistant, we're taking the document in 20-page chunks and feeding that over to Microsoft. They're using GPT 4.0 to understand the document and gather the answer for it, and then they send the response back. And then Kyrie, Mira was asking something about, does Adobe AI have a math editor too? That's the first that I've heard of math editor.
That's a great question. That's the first I've heard of that as well.
Okay. So Mira, maybe we'll have to get back to you on that one. Sorry. Cloud for workflows. System does it provide the kinds of functionality would allow search and share documents across an enterprise and integrate with ERP systems. Yes, absolutely, Gary. So one of the features that we have here, I was just trying to grab the link for it. It's our Acrobat Services APIs. With some of the mandates that are coming down with the ADA compliance, I think it's WCAG 2.1 level AA. It's a federal mandate to have all public institutions. And yeah, absolutely, Izzy. We'll send you the recording to have a certain level of accessibility for all of their publicly facing documents. And that includes the library and stuff like that as well. So those SDKs or those APIs, all those verbs that you see inside Acrobat, combine, export, tag, create, combine. I think I might have already said that. But what we did is we put those into cloud transactional models so you can do like document remediation at scale. Like we did one for Ohio State University. They're one of our staple childs for this. We remediated their entire library. I mean, we're talking like 40 million pages worth. We have a solution that we've built with AWS at their cloud innovation centers to get them up to speed. The one caveat with, if we're just talking about accessibility and the auto tag feature, out of the box, that API will get you about 80 to 85% of the way there at the moment. What AWS is working on, there's things like Math Formula, which is on our roadmap for the second half of the year to support that for auto tagging. Um, okay, you found it, Mira. Okay, thank you. Um, Super complicated charts and graphs in like health science is something that I would have a really difficult time understanding, let alone like an undergrad that you're paying to remediate these documents. And then color contrast and some images. But what Amazon's building right now is whatever we can't pick up with our API, and they decided to go with our technology because we just understand PDFs better than everyone else. Whatever we can't pick up with our API, that alt text behind it, if it's like a picture of Mount Everest or something like that, they will move that over into their generative AI feature. I think it's Amazon Bedrock. I could be totally wrong on that, but they're evaluating what LLMs can classify the best with like one LLM might be able to describe the Sahara Desert better than another. One might be able to describe like Mount Everest or trees or forests better than the other. And so what we're doing is if there's alt text that we can't provide, we send it over to Microsoft. They grab that alt text, send it back to us. We put our stamp and seal of approval on it, and then push it through the system. So very efficient too. Very, very efficient and very cheap compared to other solutions out there. Not going to lie. And especially with AI Assistant, I'm pretty sure students can get it for $1.99 a month right now, so like $24 a year. Which I can't remember the last time I looked at Copilot or what ChatGPT are using, but very. I was a student once too on the top ramen diet, very affordable. My stance would probably be using the free version of the ChatGPTs and the Copilots and using AI Assistant on the side. Can Acrobat really edit scan documents? Yes, we have an OCR feature. If you don't have Adobe Scan downloaded right now, I would please go do this right now. I do all my taxes with this every single year, but what we do is it's basically an enterprise scanner on your phone. You can snap an image of something, and then we can turn that JPEG into editable, searchable text, which is quite fantastic. Handwritten ones, little iffy, depends on how good your handwriting is, if I'll be honest. But everything else works really, really well.
Yeah, I tend to use Adobe Scan a lot when it comes to like receipts. Let's say I'm
Oh yeah.
Work trip and stuff, need receipts, use that a ton.
Mm-hmm. And business cards. I'm old school. I hand out business cards too. Adobe Scan has this feature when you scan a business card, it will recognize that it's a business card and ask you, do you want to add this to your contacts? Boom, you say yes, and you have a new contact in your phone, Kyrie Watson. Here's his email. This is his university. This is his phone number. What languages does AI Assistant support right now? Right now, we have all the major ones. So English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese. And we're continuing to pump out more like simplified Chinese, Chinese traditional, and Japanese. I think you can find that on just a normal Google search.
I did want to point back, Gary,
Mhm.
when we were talking about Scan, for the people on the call who don't know, Scan is free. Adobe Scan is a free application that they can go into and download on their different app stores.
Yep. Yeah. And to add on to the free comment, is there an extra cost for integrations with Acrobat? No, everything that you saw today is free of charge. Like all you can eat buffet, do whatever you want with it. We don't want to handcuff or handicap anyone that's trying to just get their job done. Option. Okay, so AI Assistant right now is licensed as an add-on solution. So reach out to your partner, or you can reach out to us directly to get it added on. I think in the next, like a couple of years or something like that, it's just going to be a feature built into Acrobat. You'll see that cost reflected in the price of Acrobat accordingly, obviously. But yeah, licensed as an add-on solution. Yeah, OCR has come a very long way. for team document work so you can share forms and results with a team. The share feature inside Acrobat, that comes in the Teams version. It comes in the enterprise version. Pretty sure you can share in the individual version as well. Surprised to hear you call all the major that's just me coming from my marketing side of the house when we would pump out like white pages and stuff like that. The European teams, the Japanese teams, those were the major languages that we translated first. Difference between Teams and Enterprise, really the big difference is admin controls on the back end for Enterprise, being able to create user groups, provision licenses, take away licenses. That's what you get with the Enterprise.
I'll also add with Enterprise, and it's kind of going to the Microsoft integration, being able to use SSO, Azure SSO for your application. So you saw how it's in Microsoft. If I want to log in to my Acrobat account, it would have took me to Azure just because my admin set it up that way to ensure that next level of authenticity, authentication for me to be able to access my Adobe tools, whether that's Creative Cloud, Acrobat. That's another huge integration component within Adobe.
Okay. Anything else? With Adobe Sign, we find we can't share the master form in public. Okay. Workflow final documents only get stored and viewable by the workflow owner by default and not by the team. That might be because you are on the individual version of Sign and not the enterprise version of Acrobat Sign. And for folks, if Kyrie and I can't answer something, we have a website called adobehelpx.com. Even when sales reps used to ask me questions, there was like a 99% chance that we had the answer to those questions with the step-by-step instructions on how to get something done, build a workflow, build a web form for Acrobat Sign, whatever it may be. So check out helpx.com. If there's nothing else, I think we wrap up, Kyrie. I think we've addressed everything else. And yeah, thank you for adding that, Kyrie. Wanted to leave an hour just in case, but nobody's going to complain with 15 minutes back. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. Thank you, Kyrie, and thank you for the teams that help us put on this webinar today.